This is a simple part which I have made just to explain you about the planes. Okay, now this is the part which you can see. It's like a U, and then you have a circle, you have a hole over here, passing all the way through. So you have to go to features and then go to reference geometry. This video is about how to define a plane. Now, when you go to reference geometry, you have one plane. The first option is about plane. The second option is about axis. The third option is about point. You can use all of them whenever you require. So let's talk about the point, what point is. When I click on the point, we'll discuss about plane afterwards. So you can define a point for arc center, for center of face, for intersection. So you can define points for all these things. For example, if I select the center of face, okay. So click on this one, and this is the face which I'm going to click. So if I click center of face, look, a point is defined, and you can see point 2 defined over here, and you can see the point also in the feature manager design tree. Okay, you can delete this one. So sometimes defining a point is very useful. And if you again go to reference geometry, you can go to axis. You can define an axis as well. So click on this axis. Now there are many ways to define an axis. One, line, edge, axis. Select a line or whatever. For example, if I select this line, so what's going to happen? It has automatically selected this option. So this is, if you click OK, now this is axis 1 and axis 3. So axis 3 is defined. You can select a different axis as well. Go to again axis. You can define 2 points vertices. Like for example, I can have one point over here, which is the edge actually, which is the vertex, and another point over here on the other side, which is this vertex. Okay, so look, the axis is actually passing through these points, and sometimes it is very useful. Okay, defining an axis like this is very useful. So let's keep this axis over there and let's hide it. So we'll show it whenever we want it. Let's hide this one. Now come to the reference geometry. Go to the plane. Now I'm going to define how to make a plane. Now there are three things over here in the message. This message is very important. Either you are going to have the yellow bar, either the color is going to be yellow, or it's going to be red, or it's going to be green. When it is green, this means the plane is fully defined. You do not need to add any other reference. When it is yellow, it is asking you to define, to enter something over here in first reference, second reference, or third reference. It's not necessary that you have to fill all of them. You can select only one reference. You can define a plane by selecting only the first reference. Sometimes you have to select the first and the second reference. Sometimes you have to select first, second, and third, all three references. So the maximum is 3. But you have to make sure that this should become green. When it's green, this means it's fully defined. When it's yellow, it's asking you to select references or constraints. And when it becomes red, this means it's not possible, it's impossible. Okay, so you have to change your references. Now, for example, I want to define a plane passing through the mid plane. Okay, so this is your object. I want to define place passing through mid. So what will I do? I will select first reference over here. This is my first reference. What it is? Face. Now there are two options. Either increase this distance. Okay. If you know, flip the direction, flip offset, and increase this. So what is going to happen? If you know this distance, whatever is the distance, if you know the distance from this face to the mid plane, you can enter the distance over here, whatever it is. For example, it's 10, whatever it is. So you can define it like this as well. Otherwise, do not select this option. Come here, select the mid plane option, and then you can select the second face. When you select the two faces, one face is over here, the other face is over there, you can automatically select the mid plane. And look how it became green. So what green tells you? That it is fully defined. So it should be green. This is one way of defining a plane. If you want to make a mid plane, you can define it like this. Okay. Second thing is that, which I told you, delete this one and enter any distance. When you enter any distance, look, it becomes green. What green means? It's fully defined. You can press OK and the plane is going to be defined. So it has to be green. So you can enter any distance over here like this. Look at this one. This is 90. What is this angle? This is 90. Now what it says, select reference and constant. It is asking you to select something extra. Okay, yellow means what? Select something extra. So this 90 is not enough. This 90 is not enough. So you have to select something extra. So you need to select another reference, for example, this one. When I select this one, what happens? This becomes red. Red means your second selection is not correct. It is actually wrong. Okay. So the current combination of references and constraints are not valid. So this means you have to go back and you have to delete this because this selection is not wrong, correct mathematically. You cannot select the two perpendicular faces and define the plane in that way. Okay, you cannot do it. So your reference, second reference cannot be a plane. It has to be either a point or an axis, whatever it is. Let's see if I select a point, for example, if I select an edge. If I select an edge, let's see if it's possible. Yes, look. When I selected an edge, what happened? Look, this became fully defined. This means that this combination is valid. Now you can change the angle. So you have selected a face and you have selected an edge and you can change the angle. Okay, so this is possible. Now you can define a plane like this. This can be a plane too. Anyways, so hide it right now. This is another option. Okay, let's hide it. Now there is another way of making a plane. Go to plane and select three vertices. Let's select this vertex. This is the first vertex. Okay, what it says, select something more because it's not sufficient. Select another vertex, for example, this one. When I selected that reference, what happened? My plane is actually passing through these 2 points. Okay, but it's still asking you to select something extra. I can select the third reference as this one, for example, this one. Look, what happened? I selected an edge and what it's saying, this is not valid. You cannot have 2 points. You cannot have 2 points and an edge and the plane passes through both of these 2 points and this edge. This combination is not possible. So now what I'll do, I will delete this one and I will look for another point. For example, I choose this one, like this one. I want to choose this edge. Okay, look, what is happening? What has happened? The 3 points are defined and the plane is actually passing through these 3 points. So you can click on this and this is plane 3. The plane 3 is defined. Okay, let's hide this one. This is another way of making a plane. Now, one more way which we have actually used. Okay, let's show the axis. Now remember, when you click on this eye, what's going to happen? These options are not going to be visible. Okay, these are not going to be visible. Now press on this eye, show all types. When you press on show all types, what's going to happen? All types will be visible. When you press this one, hide all types, what's going to happen? Everything is going to hide. So you will not be able to select anything. So you will have to come here. Will have to click on this eye and it should be visible. Okay. When it's visible, go to this one, view temporary axis, click on this temporary axis. Now look, it has identified the two axes of the circle, the holes. Now, for example, I want to pass my plane from these axes. So what will I do? I will select this axis. Look, the axis is selected. Okay. So the plane is actually passing through these. And for example, I want that it should pass through this. And for example, it should be parallel to this. So this combination is not valid. Even if I select parallel, now this is valid. So it is passing through this axis and it's parallel to this face. Okay, so this combination is valid. But if I choose like perpendicular, it should work. It should work, yes. So this is passing through this axis and it's perpendicular to this face. But if I say coincident, you can think that it cannot happen, that it's not possible that the plane is coincident with this plane, this red one, and through the axis. This is not possible. So what will it do? It will give you an error. Okay. So this is not possible. If I say that, okay, this is coincident with this, but perpendicular to this is also not going to happen. It's not also, this combination is also not valid. So you have to be very, you have to think about it. And you have to apply your mathematics knowledge whenever you are defining a plane. Okay, so normally we use this option. Coincident, the plane is coincident with the axis and it's parallel to this plane. This is the option which we normally use. Okay, you can define a plane like this, but remember that this should be green. And you have an option to select a plane, like over here. You can select a plane, you can select an edge, you can select a point. Okay, but you have to select, your selection should be logical. Okay, so this is how we can define a plane as well. Okay, now one more thing, if a plane is already defined and I want to make another plane offset with this distance, so what can I do? I can go to the plane again. Okay, now what will I do? I can go to parallel. When I click on parallel, it's not defined. It's asking you some other reference. I can go to this option, and whatever the offset distance is, I can select it. Look, it says fully defined. Now what it says, now this time I have only selected first reference. I do not need second or third reference because I have clicked on this option, offset distance. Okay, so I am saying that my plane should be parallel to plane 4, which I have already defined, and it should have an offset distance of how much? 79 degrees, 7.9 inches or 8.3 inches or whatever it is. So this is how I can define another plane. Okay, now the axis for, let's see this axis as well. So let's show it. So this axis which we made in the beginning, let's show this axis and go to reference geometry, go to plane. Now let's choose this axis. So the axis 4 is automatically selected, and I can define a plane passing through an axis and a point. So this axis I have actually chosen, and let's define this point. So now if I choose that point, what's going to happen? It's actually passing through the axis and it's passing to the point, and look, it's fully defined. Okay, so this is actually a short video how you are going to define the planes. Okay, thank you.